Hey guys, Jeff Chatta from JC Homes and Remax Blueprint Realty. I'm sitting here again with John, the only lawyer that I use when I have any issues. I'm just gonna get right into it today. The topic, the topic today is double ending. Now, what I mean by double ending is when an agent acts for the buyer and the seller on the same transaction. So before I get into more of me talking, because I love to hear myself speak, Joe, not as a lawyer, right? Pretend, throw all that legal stuff out of the way.
I'll take the tie off.
Okay. Take the tie off, leave the shirt on. It's still, maybe have some people watching. But as a person who bought and sold property, and
right.
with me, what are your thoughts of double ending when a buyer's agent, or when an agent, I should say, represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction?
Well, I mean, as an individual, there's that inherent conflict in there.
Sound like a lawyer, John.
If I'm a buyer and I want the lowest price possible, and he's also representing, or he or she's representing a seller that wants the highest price possible, and the other conflict is when the realtor also makes a higher commission from selling for the highest price possible. I'd be a bit uneasy about about having someone represent me who is caught in that type of a conflicting situation.
So to cut John off for this, any out there in the whole video land or the internet has a friend who's a lawyer. You know how hard it is to sit down and talk to them and break them out of that lawyer's shell, because they're always so legal and technical. So I'm going to try this again. John, what do you think? What is your opinion on buying and selling non-legal, just your own raw thought? Are you for it, against it? What do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Just
I tell you what, if I was buying or selling property, I would want an agent to represent only me solely, not to be representing the other party.
Perfect. And you know what? Most people out there feel the exact same way, that they feel that their agent should only be representing themselves, and I think that's the issue. What's happening right now with the whole double ending. When a buyer's agent is also the listing agent that's selling one of their properties, where is their loyalty stand? Because as a listing agent, my job is to get the best possible price for my client. As a buyer's agent, my job is to get the lowest possible price with all the terms and conditions agreed upon. When I'm representing both, an issue that could arise from both parties, sellers and buyers, is did I have their best interests at heart? Now, John, put your lawyer tie back on, which I see you did already. Let's talk about types of conflicts or something that could arise in representing both seller and buyer.
The key is going to be the price, obviously. Both parties want the price. Sometimes you can have issues such as closing date. One party wants a quick closing date, another party wants a shorter closing date or a longer closing date on top of that. Another conflict is realtors work with people. You talk to people, you build relationship, and part of building relationships is a lot of information exchange, a lot of trust. But there's that inherent conflict if you're representing a seller and the seller says, this is my baseline minimum, and with the maximum's the sky. I mean, if you can get me anything above my baseline minimum, I'm happy. Versus you have a buyer who says, this is my ceiling and this is my floor. And how do you reconcile that? There's always, in a limited dual agency, when you're representing both, you're not supposed to be telling one party.
Well, you just said a word around limited dual agency. Right. So now that we just said that word, do you want to touch on what a limited dual agency is?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're a real estate agent and you're representing a client, you have what's called a fiduciary duty, which is you're representing the best interests of your client at that point. You have to put yourself in your client's shoes and imagine, is this going to be what would be my best interest if I were in their shoes? As I mentioned, if you're acting for both parties, there's that natural inherent conflict that comes in. So the rules state that you can be a limited dual agent, which is what you try to do is you try to separate the best interests into two hermetically sealed units, and you try to make sure that there's no cross-pollination of that. So one of the rules would be that you cannot tell the seller what the buyer's motivation for buying is or what their baseline lowest price or highest price will be. And at the same time, you can't tell the buyer what the seller's absolute minimum that they will accept. Or, I'm sure they'll go as high as they want to go. So limited dual agency are steps that you can take to try to make sure that you can effectively manage the conflicting interests by representing both the buyer and the seller.
So you said a top right now of, I can't tell information about the buyer to the seller and vice versa, right? I think that really comes down to an ethical standpoint. We're not supposed to. But I think the real issue that could arise is maybe the buyer could feel maybe you did tell them. I don't know, or the seller could say that maybe you did tell them a bottom price. I don't know. Shoulds and shouldn'ts and shouldn'ts, should do's and all that kind of stuff. I kind of chalk that up to human nature kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's why you signed the limited dual agency agreement with both the buyers and the sellers, and it states in the agreement that you will not release that information to either party.
Now. Let's say, who did we use last time as the person who was buying? I know we used John as a seller.
Yes.
Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring back Mike. Right? Now let's say Mike says, goes to me. Jeff, I want to buy this home. You have it listed. I do not have an agent, so I'll work with you. Now, me being the experienced realtor I am, I do not do dual agencies. My agency is with the seller or whoever my client is when I first signed. The seller in turn can tell me that he actually says, Jeff, I don't want you being an agent for anybody else on this property. I only want you to be my seller's agent or listing agent. So at that point, I then have to go to good old Mike and say, Mike, I can write the contract for you as a customer relationship. So I'm going to let John explain a little bit about customer relationship.
Yeah, so customer relationship is that, I call it the third step, where essentially you're not representing a client, you're just, I call it realtor-like, the baseline minimum. You will tell the client the elements of the contracts of purchase and sale. You'll show them properties, and you have no conversations regarding what they can afford other than what they put down on the contract, that you essentially take the contract from the buyer and relay it to the seller. You can't process anything. You cannot take instructions from them to negotiate, because at that point you're engaging their fiduciary interests at that point. So customer relations, essentially the real estate agent becomes almost the FedEx courier, the middleman in the transaction.
It still is our duty as a realtor, even like how John said, realtor-like. Yeah. So we still have a duty, basic care, to still disclose. If the property has been a grow-up, we still got to disclose this. We can't falsely lie to them or trick them into buying something or say, hey, there was never a grow-up here, don't worry about it. In actuality, there is, right? So there's still a standard duty of care, right? But very, very minimal, right? So, like I said, when it comes to my contracts, I don't do dual agency. I'll either represent one or the other. Now, this video can go on and on about double ending, so I'm just going to jump into the very ends of our video, so not to make it too long. I don't mind double ending. All realtors that double end, as long as they're ethical on it, right? And when you're going out there to choose your agent, or to choose to work with a listing agent, you are taking that judgment with you. You're taking a big responsibility by choosing who you work with. So you might want to find out how many deals they've done, have they double-ended before, what their relationship to the seller or to the buyer is. That's actually a very, very big one. How about if the seller is related to the agent, and you're now going to write an offer? So now you're writing an offer on one of his relatives' houses. So greed might play a factor. You don't know. There are different things out there, and I think the key thing you have to do is, as a person entering the industry, whether as a buyer or seller, is interview your agent, find out what happens in this case scenario. Maybe tell them that, hey, I like the property. If you're the listing agent, what do we do, right? I don't know, what else can we add to this video here?
Yeah, Claire, it's not just greed though. Sometimes things are moving so fast you don't have that time for sober thought and to really check things off, especially in some of those fast-moving multiple offer situations. I've seen even some of them where you're sitting outside the house and on the phone with your clients and drafting up contracts at that point. it seems like a situation where your likeliest victims are going to be young realtors who don't have the experience getting their feet wet in situations such as this.
Yeah, and I've seen some scenarios where it's a very stressful scenario when you're in a multiple offer scenario, and you might have 15 other realtors outside. So that's why I always ask when I go into multiple offer scenario, I'll ask the listing agent, is any offer that you have being presented tonight of your own? Because you're going to want to know if an offer got accepted and there was their own offer. Realtor to realtor, sometimes we're thinking, hey, what's our offer even presented? Sometimes they don't even let you present the offer, you have to email it in. I mean, these are all things that you're going to want to review with your agent prior to you writing the offer. Sometimes it's just like how John said, things happen so fast, so you got to go. But I think John can concur with this. I don't think that's an excuse to be neglectful. I don't think the court's really going to care just because they only had an hour to write the contract. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, you've when you signed up to be a realtor, you've signed up to the code of conduct and the ethics and the real estate rules. The problem arises when you have the theoretical on one end and then the practical realities at the other end, and when they clash, that's where the
right.
problem.
And then you got to say like if the buyer say writes an offer right away, right, and didn't get a chance to review it and said they only had an hour with this, right, and they're the agent's double ending it, and so they're going to say, I didn't have a chance to review the contract, it was multiple offers, and I have to go subject free. Mm-hmm. Is the court's really going to care?
It's hard to say based on the circumstances, but one common sense, professional common sense is document everything. Document everything you have, especially in fast-moving situations. Send yourself an email. If you need to write something down on paper, get it signed by the parties involved. File it away properly. Make notes afterwards. If something comes up down the road, if you have something documented at the time that you filed away, it looks much more favorably on you.
Okay, perfect. So I mean, that's why you should have a lawyer in your corner to give you advice like that.
But don't take this as legal advice, though. Please seek separate legal counsel.
So I was waiting for the disclaimer because he's missed it in the beginning. Last time he showed in the beginning, so this time doing it at the end. So things always change up here, right? But I think we're pretty good. The reason we are going to come back next week to make another video. I want to say thank you to everybody who messaged us last time, asking us for another video. So I'm going to encourage this again. If you have a topic that you want to talk about or want us to discuss, and it does not have to involve real estate. It can be other topics as well. Send me a message, call me 604-780-9830, or text me or email me, and we'll try to put it up next time. Now the sound quality might not be as good, but you know what? I just invested into mics, and so it'll sound better and better and better. So every week we're trying to get better and better. But
and they're dual mics, no agency relationship.
No, they're dual. You got one, I got one. Right. Right. I mean, I don't want to share my mic with you. But I think that's it. I think we're good right now, right?
Okay.
We're good. So this is Jeff Chatta from JC Homes and Remax Blueprint Realty, sitting with John. His link to his website, it's going to be tagged in this video area. So if you have any questions, click on that link, give him a call, and he'll love to talk to you. So Jeff Chatta from Remax Blueprint Realty. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.